Somewhere in a writer's room in Los Angeles, someone pitched an episode where the entire crew of the Enterprise gets turned into puppets, and instead of getting fired, they got a budget. That's the state of Star Trek's Strange New Worlds heading into Season 4. And honestly, it might be the most confident a Star Trek show has ever been in its own weirdness. Hey, I'm Aim, and this is Channel. Today we're breaking down everything confirmed and teased for Strange New World Season 4. And I'm going to try to do something most trailer breakdowns skip. Instead of just listing what we saw, I want to dig into why the show is making these choices right now, at this exact point in its run. Because there's a reason this season looks like the writer's room lost a bet. Here's the context that changes everything. Season 4 is not just another season. It's the second to last one. Paramount already confirmed a fifth and final season is coming, and that final run is going to bridge directly into the world of the original series, with Paul Wesley's James Kirk eventually taking command of the Enterprise. So Season 4 isn't just a bunch of standalone genre experiments thrown at the wall. It's a victory lap. The creative team knows exactly how much runway they have left, and they're clearly using it to try every single idea they've ever wanted to attempt before the ship literally changes captains. Let's start with the one everybody's already talking about. The puppet episode. This is real. It's not a joke. It's not an April Fool's bit. It's an actual episode of Star Trek, produced with Jim Henson's Creature Shop, directed by Jordan Canning, who previously worked on the Fraggle Rock reboot. The premise, according to co-showrunner Henry Alonso Myers, involves what he called an unexpected and terrible transporter accident, one that turns Captain Pike into, in his words, a felt captain. And here's the detail that actually surprised me. Myers said this episode required more production work than any other episode the show has done, more than the animated crossover, more than a musical. That's not a throwaway gimmick. That's a full production commitment. The obvious comparison people keep making is to Angel's episode Smile Time, where the main character gets turned into a puppet and the show plays it completely straight. That episode is considered one of the best in the entire Buffy universe precisely because nobody winked at the camera. And Strange New Worlds has already proven it can pull off a huge tonal swing like this. Remember, this is the same show that did a full musical episode in Season 2, something that sounded like a terrible idea on paper and ended up being one of the most talked about hours of Star Trek in years. So there's precedent here. If the writers commit to the premise as an actual crisis rather than a joke, this could genuinely work. Now, here's something the trailers haven't fully hidden but also haven't explained. There's apparently a dragon. A literal, winged, fire-breathing dragon, shown attacking the Enterprise's hull in open space. And before you assume this is some random left turn, it actually has a pretty solid foundation in Trek history. Dragons and dragon-like creatures have shown up before in Enterprise, in the original series, in the animated series, and even in Lower Decks. Season 3 of Strange New Worlds itself featured a creature called the Jikaru, described as a kind of space dragon. So this isn't coming out of nowhere. What makes it more interesting is the likely connection to Season 1's episode, The Elysian Kingdom, which dropped the crew into a full medieval fantasy storybook world and somehow made it work within Star Trek's internal logic. If this new episode is a spiritual successor to that one, we could be getting another full genre swap, science fiction dressed up as high fantasy, complete with what one report describes as a sword fight between Lon and a group of Game of Thrones-style warriors. Given that this episode is dropping the same summer as the final stretch of House of the Dragon, the timing is either a coincidence or a very well-aimed marketing move. Then there are the dinosaurs, and yes, that includes a T-Rex and reportedly pterodactyls, plus a shot of Lon firing a phaser directly into the mouth of a roaring dinosaur, which is either the most ridiculous or the most delightful image Star Trek has produced in years, possibly both. The obvious comparison is Jurassic Park, but the real question is whether this is just spectacle or whether there's an actual concept underneath it. Is this a preserved ecosystem? A time displacement event? Or is Pike simply going to spend an entire episode running from a large, angry lizard? Because honestly, I'd still watch that. Not every episode needs galaxy-ending stakes. Sometimes the crew just needs to deal with a dinosaur, and that's a perfectly fine use of 45 minutes. Let's talk about the Western episode, because Star Trek putting its crew in cowboy hats is basically a franchise tradition at this point. The original series did it with Spectre of the Gun. The Next Generation did it with a fistful of datas. Enterprise did its own version too. This time, the trailer shows the crew riding horses across a red, dusty, Mars-like alien world. And honestly, the pairing makes more sense than people give it credit for. Westerns and Star Trek share the same DNA: frontier exploration, small groups facing the unknown, moral gray areas at the edge of civilization. The real mystery is whether this is a holodeck-style simulation, an alien culture that happens to mirror old Western aesthetics, or something stranger entirely. Knowing this show, I'd bet on stranger. There's also a much quieter thread running through the trailer that might end up mattering more than any of the spectacle. Spock and Kirk. Paul Wesley's James Kirk has already made 2 appearances in previous seasons, and the marketing for Season 4 is leaning hard into the growing friendship between him and Ethan Peck Spock. In one trailer, Spock talks about wanting to share things he doesn't usually share, hopes, fears, dreams, and says Kirk is the person he's meant to share them with. That's not just fan service. The show is building the emotional foundation for what becomes one of the most iconic friendships in science fiction, and it's doing it in real time, episode by episode, before the timeline catches up to the original series. We're also getting new faces this season, including Joe Morton, known for Terminator 2, joining as a Starfleet admiral who sends the Enterprise on what he reportedly calls, quote, a fun one, which in Star Trek language usually means the opposite of fun. There are Andorians showing up again, a mysterious alien species that hasn't been fully identified yet. What appears to be an alien casino planet, and a moment involving Scotty that fans are already buzzing about for reasons the trailer only briefly shows. Then there's the imagery that might be the most visually stunning of the entire season. A massive black hole, the Enterprise positioned near it, and what looks like a spacewalk sequence involving Uhura out in open space near this gravitational monster. If this episode leans into real hard science fiction tension, oxygen limits, time distortion, gravitational danger, this could end up being one of the strongest pure sci-fi episodes of the whole run. There's also a shot of a mysterious white-haired, pale-skinned alien species standing in front of what looks like a collapsing, exploding ring planet, an image with an almost mythological weight to it. Classic Star Trek territory, a civilization on the edge of catastrophe, and a crew trying to understand it before it's too late. And there's the zombie thread. Season 3 already tested this territory with an episode involving infected Klingon, dark corridors, and body horror, but by most accounts, it didn't quite land. Season 4's teaser footage looks noticeably more intense. Crew members being hunted, real survival horror tension. If the writers can push this one into something psychologically deeper instead of just repeating the same infected monster chase, this could be a genuine standout. So here's the bigger picture. Strange New Worlds has built its entire identity around the idea that Star Trek doesn't need to pick one tone and stay there. One week it's a puppet comedy. The next it's cosmic horror. The next it's a Western. The next it's a black hole survival thriller. That flexibility, that willingness to be genuinely silly and genuinely serious in the same 10-episode season is exactly why this show has connected with people in a way a lot of modern prestige television hasn't. It remembers that adventure itself is allowed to be the point. And now, knowing this is the second to last season, every one of these swings carries a little more weight. This isn't a show playing it safe on its way out. It's a show trying literally everything it's ever wanted to do: puppets, dragons, dinosaurs, cowboys, black holes, before the story moves on to Kirk's Enterprise and this particular era quietly closes. Star Trek Strange New World Season 4 premieres July 23rd on Paramount+, with new episodes airing weekly through the season finale in late September. So that's everything we know so far. Which of these episodes are you actually most excited for? The puppet chaos, the dragon fight, or something else entirely? Drop your prediction in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you want more Star Trek breakdowns like this one, the subscribe button is right there, and it doesn't bite, unlike whatever that dragon is about to do to the Enterprise. I'll see you in the next one.